Hello and welcome back to another video in my walkthrough of the Cicada Detroit ARG. In today's video we are talking about puzzles 24 and 25, so let's dive in. Alright, so it says you must complete these two parts in order. Part 1, find the Rogue 14. This is your first destination. You must visit the first destination before solving Part 2 or purchasing Part 2's hint. We have a long set of numbers. Now with a little bit of Googling you will find that these numbers look like the first 1000 digits of pi, which you can see in a website like this one, 1000 digits of pi. The key difference here being that the first 10 decimals have been removed, and also the 3 dot part from pi is also been removed. So 3 dots been removed, and the first 10 digits after that have also been removed. So we'll take both and put them in a text compare app. This one's from textcompare.com. So on this side I have the numbers from Cicada Detroit, and here are the actual numbers from pi. Now we will need to remove the first 10 of these. So now we have a fair comparison. We'll hit compare, and we'll find a total of 14 digits that are different between the two. And now looking at the numbers we took from Cicada Detroit, we'll take the 14 characters. So 287229003900631, and these are our Rogue 14. So we will visit that URL. And it says progress logged, return here to complete part 2, and that link just takes you back to the previous tab. We'll go back there, and now for part 2 it says the sum of all primes between two primes. Now this part is a little vague. You may have noticed that this number that we typed in for our URL is a prime number, and so the Rogue 14 is prime. If you took the 14 digits, like the correct 14, and put those together, that's also a prime number. However, these prime numbers are 14 digits long, and if you try to take every prime number between them, you're going to spend an awful long time working on this puzzle. The true prime numbers we're looking for don't even appear on this page. They are actually on the prize page. The two prize amounts, 21,347 and 11,239, are both prime numbers. So the two primes we actually need to find the sum of all primes in between are those two. So to find the sum of all primes between these two numbers, we can use this tool called Sum of Prime Calculator. So we'll take our two numbers, 11,239 and 21,347, to calculate, and we'll get this answer. However, this isn't quite correct because this tool includes our numbers A and B in this calculation. So what we actually need to do is subtract both of these from this number to get the true answer. Alternatively, if you increase each of these numbers by 1, or rather increase the first number by 1 and decrease the second number by 1, you're now on composite numbers, which will not be included, and we haven't eliminated any of the primes that are in between those two. Calculate again, and we'll get the actual answer of 168,36228. We'll take that number, go back to the puzzle, enter that as our passcode, and it now says your second destination. We have a long math equation. Now this file, if we were to save it, because it's an image, is called no clues here mathletes.gif. We'll save that. Now there's an Easter egg in this puzzle. If you ask ChatGPT to solve it, I'll show you what happens. ChatGPT will very confidently solve this equation and tell you that the answer is 66,339,863. If you take this number and try visiting this page, remove the commas, you'll see that we get redirected to Google search for why does AI struggle with math. So there's a little Easter egg, also your hint that ChatGPT is not going to do this one for you. So instead we're going to need to find an actual calculator, or if you're good at math you can solve this one by hand. Most of the terms cancel out or simplify quite nicely, but I'll show you how to do it with a calculator instead. We're going to use Wolfram Alpha. I'll save you the time of watching me type in the whole equation because it's going to take me a minute. Alright, so I type the whole thing in, we hit equals, and we get our result, 71237097. We'll take that number, go to that URL, and that'll take us to the next puzzle. Now, real quick before we continue, for those of you that are mathematically inclined, I'll walk you through how to solve this as well. So in my notes, I reproduced the equation with LaTeX, and then I wrote out how to simplify it step by step. So first, looking at our first term here, with the limit as x approaches infinity, when you're going to infinity, this term, the x terms reduce to nothing on that scale. So you can simplify that as just 12x squared over 3x. Looking at our next term, this is just the product as k goes from 1 to 3, or in other words, it's 1 times 2 times 3. This limit, cosine squared x plus sine squared x, that expression simplifies to 1. So you get 1, such as the limit of x to 24 of 1. And then our term here, e to the pi I, is just equal to negative 1. So negative 1. Next, we'll simplify further. The x squareds cancel in this expression, so that just becomes 12 thirds. 1 times 2 times 3 is 6. The limit of 1 is just going to be 1. So that's 6 times 1 to the 8. And then we multiply by negative 1, which cancels out with the minus. So that just becomes plus. Then the limit of 12 thirds is just a limit of 4, which is just 4. So that becomes 4 to the 13th. 6 times 1 is just 6 to the power of 8, so 6 to the 8th. Left that term as is. Apply these powers, add the numbers, and you get our answer. Okay, so puzzle 25. We see that there's 3 parts. Part 1 says 12, 18, 24, P39. Part 2, 01, 08, 25, P39. Part 3, we have some question marks, P21, and then what looks like a book cipher. So starting with part 1, we have this date, and then what looks like it could be a page number, page 39 perhaps. Now, as part 3 suggests, we might be looking for a book of some sort. Like these might be 3 books, with these being page numbers, but these are dates, which would suggest that it's some kind of periodical, like a magazine perhaps. And in fact, if you were to check any of the Cicada Detroit social media accounts, you will have seen that in early January, there will be a post shouting out the Metro Times, specifically the Detroit Metro Times, where there was a full page ad taken out. You can see in this case on the January 8th to 14th edition. So we will check the Detroit Metro Times, see if maybe that's our book. We'll go to their website. We'll go to News and Views, scroll down to Digital Issue. And then our first thing we're looking at is December 18th, 2024. So we will go to 2024, find the December 18th release, click on the digital edition. Then we need to go to page 39. So we'll go to page 39. Alright, and on page 39, we will find an ad taken out in the classifieds that says decode this message. Then we have some text. Now, to decode this, we'll once again be going to decode to use their cipher identifier. We'll paste in that text. Well, you'll have to type it out by hand first. I already have it written down. Click analyze. We'll see a very strong match on @bash cipher. We'll check out the @bash cipher. We'll paste that in. Hit decrypt. And we get our plain text. You're awfully curious, aren't you? This might be important for later, but for now, come join the game at cicadadetroit.com/thatstring. We'll take that, open a new tab, type that in, and we see you've solved part 1. Click here to return for part 2. That link would just take us back to this page. So there's part 1. Easy enough. Part 2, we have another date, January 8th, 2025. Let's go to that edition. 2025. Let's go to the last page. Find the January 8th digital edition. And we'll go to page 39 again. And once again, we'll find an interesting looking code in the classifieds. Here it says game and then gold bug or green bug. You transcribe that text and then we will paste it into the cipher identifier and see what it comes up with. And we get to the gold bug cipher. That matches with what we saw in the magazine, so we'll check that one out. Paste in our text, hit decrypt, and we get cicadadetroit.com/all that glitters is not gold. We'll visit that URL. And it says part 2 solved. Click here to return for part 3. Now a link just takes us back to this page. Which now brings us to part 3. Now this one's tricky because we don't know which edition we're looking for, just that we need to go to page 21, and then we have a book cipher. So we could start and just start manually going through every edition of the Metro Times, going to page 21 and seeing if we can apply this book cipher, or we can do a more targeted approach. We will go back to the Metro Times website, and we will search for the word cicada. We'll click on our very first link here, and we'll see that on May 5th, 2021, they published an article about the brood X cicadas emerging in Michigan. So let's go back to the digital issues and look for things in May of 2021. So go back to digital issues, year 2021. And then when we get to May, we'll see that there is an edition of the Times where there is literally a cicada on the cover. We'll check out that one. Do the digital edition. We'll go to page 21. And we'll find that we are looking at an article about cicadas. So that's a very strong indicator that we are in the right place. So next we need to apply our book cipher. So this book cipher works as 3 digits, where the first is the line number, then the word number, and then the character number. So 111 would be A, and then 281, we go to line 2, word 8, letter 1 is L, and we'll continue in this fashion until we have the whole thing finished. I'll skip ahead so you don't have to watch me do it. Okay, so here we've gone through and grabbed all of them, and if you read that out, you'll see this is all numbers in column in order as they appear. So we'll look at our first column and we'll just work through and grab every number. Starting from the top, scan through. See the word 1. That's our very first number, and it appears written as letters, so that's 1. And the next part you see is the number 10 right here, which is written as just a 10 with digits. And just keep going down, you'll grab every number, either written as digits or as a word, and don't forget the Roman numerals as well, because those are numbers. So like XI here is a number. I skipped ahead so you didn't have to watch me do it, but you have to get all of them. You'll have 1, 10, XI, 1954, 1840, 19th. We'll drop the TH from that though. 13, 1890, Roman numeral X, 1987, 2 more Roman numeral X's, 2004, 1 spelled out, and then 600. Get rid of the spaces, and do that TH. We'll get this string. We'll take that. We'll go to that URL. And that takes us to the next puzzle. Alright, that's where we'll be stopping for this video. We'll pick up with puzzle 26 next time. Hope you enjoyed. If you learned anything new, let me know in the comments below. And if you solved anything differently from me, let me know about that too. I'm interested to know how you did it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.